So, what has Excelsior's domain been picking up from eBay? Let's have a look. I just started humming the old school Battlestar Galactica theme tune. I have no idea why, because that isn't what I'm showing you. This is what I'm showing you. Now then, I was not looking for this. This was a classic eBay, random suggestion for me. But I thought, yep, I like this because A, I've never owned a box one before, but B, it's got the figures in it. And this, of course, is the Corgi Buck Rogers Starfighter. And this is very much a starfighter of my youth. And I did a video the other day about, was this the first thing that ever called itself a starfighter? And that one's still up for grabs if anyone's got any better ideas, but this is very cool. The box is not in terrific shape, but it is a box, and it's pretty confident that it's an original box given the state of it. So Corgi Buck Rogers Starfighter 647. And inside I have yet another Starfighter to add to my collection. Originally £2.99. Bless it. Not sure who it was purchased from. But it does of course have retractable wings and firing rockets. As I very well know. Now what does the inside flap say? Caution, do not point or fire missiles into mouth or towards face. Yes, very wise. So let's somehow, I don't think this is the first time this has been unboxed, but it's kind of unboxing. But what I've never seen, what I've never ever laid my hands upon, unless of course I had it when I was little and I just don't remember them anymore. I mean, that is a lovely, lovely, minty Starfighter. This is literally the first time I've had this out of the box. And it hadn't occurred to me that this might not ever have come out of its box overly often. I'm just looking it over. I mean, the sticker is absolutely sort of bob on, and it's probably a little bit dusty, but it's pretty much bob on. It's still. So is that actually? Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's. I'm trying to think what's actually holding it in place then. So there's Tweaky. So he's quite plasticky, but he is nonetheless intact, and I've never had one to look at since I started my collecting trend again, because I've only ever had Starfighters loose, of course, and there are loads of them around. I mean, because they are so die cast, they last. But I mean, that's a really good. It's a really good. I mean, I think it even looks like he's got. Now, was it Dr. Theophilus? Something like that was the AI that Tweaky used to carry around with him on his neck. I don't think he has got him on. But that's a really good. I mean, it's a pretty decent sculpt for its size. It's as you can see, it's only just bigger than my thumbnail. But also in here we have Buck. Now I'm kind of hesitant to get the Starfighter out because it must have been out at some point. Surely I don't even know what's holding it in. So I'm kind of hesitant to actually pull it. Oh, there's ties on the bottom of it. Is that seriously? Now, can someone with more knowledge than me please tell me whether or not that's actually looks like the way in which they would have originally held this in place? Because I've just noticed that my microphone was not necessarily recording for all of this, but I'm hoping it's still going now. So I'm hoping that the sound's been recording, and I just knocked it when I was moving then. So I was just saying that if anyone knows whether or not that is an authentic tying mechanism for the Starfighter from back in the day, could they please let me know in the comments, because I don't really want to take it off its card if it's never ever been off its card before. But I do want to try and extract the Buck figure, because again, the Buck figure is not something I've ever handled before. And like Tweaky, he is very, very plasticky. But, again, he's got his little gun in his hand there. I'm not sure. He almost looks like he's supposed to be the original Buck Rogers. So I'm not sure his face mould is quite as a... Actually, funny enough, from a distance, it's more convincing than it is on the camera. I mean, it's clearly not got any sort of real detail to it. But I guess that their focus here was very much on the Starfighter rather than the action figure. But nonetheless, it's not bad, and I recognise it, from the show. And it's just, as I say, I didn't care about the state of the box as much as I did about the fact that it had the figures, because I know that the figures are by far and away the hardest sort of thing to come by, because obviously they're relatively small, and they're the sort of things that are always liable to go missing. But I hadn't really stopped to think about the fact that the Starfighter would be that minty clean. So I do wonder whether or not that's ever been off its card. It's also really interesting to see. I mean, I have seen things before where there's been a sort of a backdrop, sort of behind them, or actually on the box at least. But I'm not sure I've seen something attached to a backdrop as a sort of display method. I mean, I don't know if that was that unusual, but I'm just going to have a look at so that's the back of the box there. So Buck Rogers Starfighter, retractable wings, and firing rockets in various different languages, and of course that classic the classic Buck Rogers image there, with Buck and Wilma, and the is it Tiger Man, the baddie bodyguard, and Princess Ardala? Was that her name? I'm doing that completely from memory, so I could be completely wrong. And there's Tweaky just below them. And then her second in command. And possibly the original Buck Rogers from the original black and white series there, who I think briefly appeared in the colour version. And that's Dr. Theophilus there. As I say, that's the guy I was mentioning that Tweaky normally carried around on his neck. So yeah, it's very, very cool. I mean, that's properly bringing back memories, that. And not something I was looking for. Probably not something I would ever have picked up from a toy fair, because if you found this in a toy fair, it would be in sort of maximum. The box would be so nice that they'd probably be charging an arm and a leg for it. So it was made in Great Britain. The right is reserved to improve and amend specifications and colours. Marvellous. So there's all the details. Now, I mean, the only thing that's missing, I suppose, is a missile sprue. It doesn't have a missile sprue. You can get repro missiles for them, of course, because you can get repro missiles for everything these days. But I don't think... I'm just getting the rest of the sort of packaging paper out. So I'd love to... I mean, I'm half tempted to ask the seller what the actual history behind this one was. Whether or not this is just one they happened to have and they wanted to get rid of because it was surplus for them, or, just how it came to be, basically. Because I find it slightly odd that it's got the figures but not the missiles. But, in any event, that is generating the feels for me, it has to be said, because I think that's a really, really lovely, lovely example of a Starfighter with finally the figures, which I've never had in my hand before. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. There's just something about it. I just think it's just a brilliant sort of extrapolation of fighter aircraft from our era sort of put into the future. And the fact that it's got retractable wings, so you can put your wings away when you're in space, you don't need them. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's just very, very cool. It's just very, very, very cool. I'm liking that quite a lot. So I'm hoping the sound caught itself at some point. I'm going to have a listen back to it now, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that perhaps the phone kind of caught sound when the mic momentarily lost power there. But yeah, I mean, if you had one of these when you're growing up, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about the repro missiles as well, because I could rearm it. I've probably got half a dozen of these now that I could rearm, but it might take quite a lot of missiles to do it. But it's very cool to have the packaging, because it's, even though it's the bubble is obviously very, very battered, it's still all readable, and it still presents quite nicely. I could sort of tweak it a bit to make it look more presentable, I guess. But it's just very, very cool. Very, very cool. Aye, right. I've warbled on long enough about this one, so I'll leave it there. Do like and subscribe as ever, and cheers for now.